Hi everybody, welcome. It's a real honor and a delight to be with you today. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Always in the build up to being here, it's a time of excitement, a time of anticipation that we're coming together. I must give a great thanks to my dear assistant, wonderful moderator, dear Lucy. She brings everybody together hours in advance. Yeah, she's on that live chat with you, interacting, answering questions. So thank you, Lucy. So it's such an important time. Well, you know it's an important time. You don't need me to tell you that this is an important time. But particularly from tomorrow, the 8th of September, when Mars stations about to go retrograde in Aries, the 8th to the 10th of September are really crucial days. And then at the end, when Mars stations to begin to go direct, which will be from the 12th to the 14th of November. But let's take it a step by step. So we're in the waning moon. We've just had this full moon in Pisces. And we're going now where the moon is waning. So it's getting smaller and smaller. It's not getting smaller, but we see less of it. Let's put it that way. And we're moving towards a new moon energy. So the energy of the full moon is a little crazy. And now we move to this new moon. It's a time for releasing, for detoxing, for letting go. It's a wonderful time for losing weight, actually. For surrendering. So we're going from this energy of Pisces. We just a few days ago had this Pisces full moon. And now we're coming to the energy of the new moon in Virgo. And so Pisces is the unconscious, is the part of us that could be asleep, just going around in a daze of confusion. And we're moving now, even during as this Mars is going to retrograde tomorrow, we're moving to this new moon in Virgo, which is encouraging us to be alert, to be aware, to be conscious. So we're in between these two frequencies. And along comes this Mars retrograde. So I entitled this video, Death of the Ego, or I might equally have called it something like Transcend the Ego. Because as Eckhart Tolle, one of my great heroes, I love Eckhart, talks about, he said that humanity now has to transcend the ego. That is our next step. Because we're beginning to see that the ego brings us no end of suffering, of pain, of fighting one another. And what's happened with COVID is that the surface reality of your life, yeah, this is what Eckhart talks about, is that your everyday life, yeah, what's going on with you, your job, your work, your family, your relationships, your health, your finances. And we're now in a global time where all of this is uncertainty or uncertain. Thank you, that's a good question. Why transcend, I see? Isn't it better to integrate the ego? I think I'm going to cover that, all right? It's a good question. So, so when all these things become frustrating, Pohala, thank you. May our transcendence be kind and fair to one another, yes. So some of us are not comfortable with our health, or many of us are not. I mean, you've only got to go into a store in Greece and everybody's got masks on, and, you know, it's very subdued. And only one or two can go into a store at a time. I went to the dentist today. I had to have a cleaning. I felt like I was being treated by astronauts. They were absolutely, you know, covered head to toe, the dentist and her assistant. So nothing is very comfortable anymore, yeah? So you may be experiencing this as far as health. You may be experiencing this financially, socially. I think we're all going through, well, maybe most of us, I can't speak for all of us, but I speak for myself and maybe many of you, that we're going through a period of tremendous discomfort. And during a time of great discomfort is the opportunity for the greatest awakening. I'm reminded of a story that Eckhart tells when there is no motivation, when you're quite comfortable, you know, your finances are all right, you're in a nice house, the relationships are pretty good. I mean, of course, none of it lasts. But if you're comfortable, then chances are you might just be saying, you know, let's fly to Rome, let's have a nice Italian meal, and let's have some more sensual pleasures. And a lot of these pleasures now have been taken away. A lot of these comforts have gone. And if there's ever the best time for an awakening, it is this time now. To be free, because above all, what I feel we are wanting, again, I'll speak for myself here, I mustn't generalize, I have to be careful to do that, is to be free of all this suffering and pain. Once and for all, to create a world that's free of pain. And how does what's the astrology showing us? Because that's what I meditate about. That's what I'm thinking about, how to navigate this time. So we're in a great time of a lot of Mars retrograde coming up, which is really looking at, because Mars in Aries has to do with your ego. The negative, or the, shall we say, I won't say negative, the lower frequency emanation of Mars in Aries is what's in it for me. Or I'm not going to do what you say, because this Mars in Aries is square to Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto in Capricorn, which has everything to do with reacting, feeling very resentful at being told what to do by authorities. That's what we're seeing, yeah? Not going to tell me to wear a face mask. We had that in the 1980s or 90s in England with wearing seatbelts in a car. Can't tell you how many people were up in arms on not wearing a bloody seatbelt. Take a hike. Yeah, there were people were really up in arms about that. And now we've got this Mars in Aries energy. So what are you reactive to? You might want to share. Let's share. What are you reacting to right now? Because this is ego. You might have a huge reaction. I mean, the law right now in Greece is that in all indoor spaces, you have to wear a mask. So there's no point in going into a store and expecting to be served without a mask, because it's not going to happen. So what are you going to do? Are you going to react? Are you going to stay in the I won't do it? Or are you going to just say, well, maybe there's something that I've got to learn here, and I've got to accept it anyway, otherwise I'm going to get a whopping fine. I might even go to prison. So transcending the ego. I feel that this Mars retrograde darling.
It might be a minute or so till I see you, but I'll just refresh the page and see what happens.
I'm back. I think I'm back.
Okay.
We're back. Thank you, Lucy. Oh my goodness. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience. Mars retrograde. Talk about being challenged when Mars goes retrograde as to whether you're going to react to a situation or whether you're going to trust that everything is as it's supposed to be. So I want to thank Lucy, who's been on the phone with me, sorting everything out. Thank you, Lucy. I want to thank Drew, who's been saving the day, interacting with everybody online. So I just want to welcome you all back. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for just being a part of a real typical challenge that Mars retrograde is likely to pose. So any kind of situation that you're likely to have a reaction to may well come up at this time.
You are on intelligence.
Oh, okay, here we go. Am I live? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thomas, thank you. Thank you.
Am I live?
I think I am. Thomas as well has been helping me online.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Thomas.
Okay.
Thomas, thank you. Thank you.
Am I live?
I think I am. Thomas as well has been helping me online. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Okay.
Thomas,
Thank you. Thank you. Am I live?
I feel as though I'm going in a loop now. I'm going in a loop. Can you hear me? All right. Are we connected? Are we together? Sound now? No sound. God blimey, we really, what a beautiful family you are. Staying online with me. Lucy, Drew, thank you for keeping the chat going. Can you hear me now? Is it loud enough? Woohoo! Oh, we have sound. Well, first of all, let's have a big thank you to Thomas, because Thomas really saved the day. Yeah, he gave me some instructions and really helped, and also instructed me to calm down because I was getting impatient with the Mars retrograde. Okay, so everything is good. We're together. So don't be surprised if you get situations over these next 6 weeks, but particularly during the station periods, where your patience is tested and where you may need just to calm down, to back off. And I think I see this Mars retrograde as something about backing off. Yeah, really being ready to just back off. Yeah, and you can't go forward. I couldn't go forward. We didn't have internet. It was spinning around. It was freezing. It was like, okay, what you going to do? Oh, Wenda's saying no sound, no picture, and you're still here. Really? Yes, patience is a fickle teacher. Okay. Nothing wrong with any emotion. That's true. As long as you're not taking out an angry emotion, Mars in Aries, blaming somebody else or telling somebody else off if you're feeling impatient. So everybody's telling me it's working. So you may find yourself repeating things. You may find yourself having to breathe and say, okay. And we are being stopped during this time. Many of us, not all of us, because there are certain countries who are in more severe lockdowns than others. But we're being held back. We're being held back from doing the things that we want to do, things that we like to do. So we're going through this transition of transcending the ego. So I feel as though now I've got to bring some fun into this. We really do. I don't know if you've seen this online, but the Brits, they're very funny because they can be very polite, right? The British people, very polite. You know, they're very much like, no, you first. Oh, no, you go first. Oh, no, please, it's all right, you go. They're the only nation I know that do that kind of thing. And I do think that there is an energy of, let's let somebody go first. It's okay. Because Mars in Aries retrograde is about thinking, where am I pushing away? Where am I pushing in? And where could I just let somebody go? And I don't know about you, but when somebody is right up my arse and I'm on the motorway or somewhere, and you can't get into the lane because that's blocked. You can't get out of his way and he's flashing you and honking you. That is the energy of Mars Aries that we've got to just diffuse. And we can use this energy in a really positive way to create a quicker awakening. That's how I'm seeing it. And I don't know if you've seen that video with all the people, all these Brits. Well, first of all, the British people are so polite. There's a joke that goes, yesterday, I heard a woman who said thank you to the ATM machine for giving us some money. But they're the opposite of that. They don't want to be told what to do, you know, and I think that's what's going on. So there's this really funny tune that's out that's called I'm sorry if there's children listening. I won't say the swear word, but stick your poison vaccines up your right. And it goes like this. I can't believe I'm doing this, but the thing about dissolving the ego, one way to dissolve the ego is to be spontaneous. Yeah, because the ego likes to be really prepared. It likes to know what it's doing. It likes to be ordered. But young children don't have strong ego. Yeah, they're just spontaneous. They don't care what anybody else is thinking of them. Not until a bit later. So here we go. So the song goes. Okay, I'll leave it to you to work the words out, okay? But we are the 99%. Yeah, and it's very funny. And it is this energy of Mars in Aries. You're not going to tell me what to do. Up yours, guys. So chances are over these next weeks, we're going to have this energy of this clash between what governments want to tell us to do and what we, the people, the 99%, want to tell them what to do with what they're telling us what to do. So I'm anticipating that we are going to see more of this clashing energy. But what we've really got to do, what the challenge is to be able to transcend that ego that separates us, that clashes us, that pushes us to divisiveness. And I think we're in we've got the perfect cauldron. Tell you the name of the song, otherwise you can't sleep at night, Red Curls. Oh, I love you. I don't know. Somebody tell us the name of that song. Okay, somebody come up with that name. Oh, sorry, gave it knocked it down a bit harsh there. So, yes, somebody's noticed the fire and ice paintings. Yes, we've got the hot, we've got these heat waves, we've got the fires in California. Heart goes out to you people there. And then we've got this ice age coming, ice coming to Canada really early. Iciness. So we've got extreme energies. Thank you, Lucy. She'll be coming round the mountains when she comes. Thank you. Welcome, Bruce. Thank you for joining today. Bruce is always a wonderful support as well. I've got so many of you that are I'm just so grateful for all of you. Every single one of you listening now, listening later. Thank you. Because you're the ones that really want to awaken. You're the ones that want to make a difference, that want to get away from a world of pain and suffering and dog eat dog, and to stop being caterpillars and become butterflies. And Eckhart talks about this. We're in between being these caterpillars that can't see very well, that are chomping away at all the leaves, and they don't really want to change, and then going into this butterfly existence, yeah, going into this light existence in the light, and then this caterpillar, yeah, that's dark. It's in a dark place, and we're in between those energies. So, signs that you're transcending the ego. One is, and I'm noticing this with my clients now, one of the most important questions coming up is, why am I here? What's the meaning of my life? What's my purpose? What's my spiritual direction? That's the question now. And there's a sense of emptiness, a void. You might feel lost, you might feel depressed, you might feel sad. All signs that you're in the process of transcending the ego. So don't be worried about if you've got these symptoms. These are symptoms to be welcomed. And you might be going through a dark night of the soul, where things are really hard, almost desperate, despair feeling, a feeling of isolation. And you might also be exploring astrology, numerology, tarot, crystals, past lives, channeling. You're exploring the mystical realms. You want some answers to life's questions. This is another energy of wanting to raise your consciousness. And you get glimpses of feeling, wow, wow. And then you kind of go back down again for a while. But then you're learning patience. You're learning, and this is very much this Mars retrograde. You're learning to be patient. You're learning then to surrender to a higher power. The Talmud says something very profound. I've been meditating on this for several days now. And it resonates to me with this Mars retrograde. It says, against your will are you born. Against your will do you live. And against your will you die. And how true that is, yeah? I mean, you don't feel as though you chose to be born. I think every child, most children say at some point to their parents, I didn't choose to be born. Thank you very much. And then when you're living, you kind of say, well, I didn't choose this. I don't like this. And then most people don't want to let go when it comes time to die. We're holding on to life. So it's like everything is without your permission. And Mars is retrograde, which is you looking now at, not many things are really with your permission. And isn't it great just to surrender and say, hey, you know, there is a higher energy or a source energy at play here that is pushing us to awaken, that is pushing us to transcend, to become aware of the ego that's holding us back. Because the ego is when you identify with the material things in your life. So if I'm identified with Teddy and somebody takes him away from me, I'll be very, very upset. But if I'm not identified with him, I don't see him as mine, I just see him as his Teddy. And I love him while he's with me. And if he should go, I may feel sad a little bit, but it won't devastate me. I'm just aware. It's about becoming aware, because there is always suffering with everything connected with the ego. The ego has to do with how you look. Somebody who's very beautiful, very difficult when they age and get old. I mean, I think it's great looking at Cher, pictures of Cher and her mother who's in her 90s. I mean, they look fabulous. But what a lot of work that must have taken in terms of plastic surgery and God knows what to get to that. So we're moving from being caterpillars to being butterflies, from being confined with very small visions, small abilities, to something that's vast and wide. So as long as you don't get attached to things, you're okay. But you do know that your ego is always at play when you want more, because the ego is never, ever satisfied. It always feels as though there's a lack. Not enough money, not enough education, not enough friends, not enough family. All of that, that's all ego stuff. And it holds you back. So we're in this transition, and I feel as though this Mars retrograde time, these next several weeks starting tomorrow, is a wonderful time for us to come together and to look at how do we deal with frustrations, how do we deal with irritations, how do we deal with other people's bad behavior? I mean, I notice myself already. I mean, I feel really it's amazing how you can pick up impatient habits. We're supposed to wear masks. We're supposed to wear masks when we go in a store. Some people wear a mask only over their mouth and not over the nose. And you know, I'm starting to get a bit irritated with the people who don't cover their noses as well. And I'm thinking, what is this? So what are the little things that are irritating you? And just be ready to observe and to laugh and to say, well, I never. And if you can begin to do that and take the pressure off blaming, who likes to be shouted at? I don't know about you, but I hated it when my mum used to shout at me. Hated it. Nobody wants to be shouted at. Nobody wants to be honked at. Everybody wants to be treated gracefully and gently. So what we're learning is, because when I always look at the opposite sign, we've got this Mars in Aries retro, opposite sign is Libra. Libra has to do with balance. Finding the balance. The balance between the things that you know you need to do for yourself, but not lashing out at other people. Not fighting other people, making them wrong, blaming them. Creating some space, Mars retrograde, an opportunity for the awareness, the conscious light of awareness to come into your interactions. Gratitude's another beautiful way for killing off that more ego. When you just realize all the abundance that you've got in your life, I mean, just sit here, right now. And I can't begin to tell you how grateful I feel for Drew, for Lucy, for Thomas, for Bruce, for every single one of you here online, giving your energy, giving, wanting to give and receiving at the same time. Yeah, it's a two-way street. I'm grateful I can smile. I'm grateful I've still got teeth. I'm grateful I've got food. I'm grateful somebody delivered my food. I've not been in a supermarket for about 5 months. So gratitude is another key way of diffusing the greed and the blaming energy of the ego. So it's about surrendering. It's about saying, I surrender. I had to surrender to the fact that I couldn't get live. I just couldn't do it. And I can see now I've been live for an hour and a half, but not really an hour and a half because things, went a little awry. And I can see now here online, people getting, whoa, people not wanting to wear masks. Be kind, be kind, be kind. Why have people got issues with masks? Yeah, okay. But once again, go out in your day grateful several times a day. Just keep coming back to the things that you've got, because it takes, you know, it distracts the ego. Yeah, it's a distraction. It can't go ranting on a rant, because Mars in Aries wants to rant. And it can't do that. You've got to distract it. And there's a lot of, you know, disagreement about masks. Huge amount of disagreement. And if we can see that 6 months ago, excuse me, who would have given a monkeys about a mask? Who would have had an opinion about a mask? Probably none of us, right? Now, all of a sudden, there's a million opinions about masks. Now, facts are facts, and there are certain scientific things that we're learning at the moment. My feeling is that governments, and I don't think we know enough. I think we don't have enough knowledge to really be sure about what we're doing. A little bit groping in the dark. But Neue Erde, yeah. Try to be at peace with everything, even the things you don't like. Yeah, yeah. I'm not saying this is easy. Yeah, Mars is going to retrograde. It's like, ooh, you've got to really, yeah. But it's an opportunity to become aware. I was getting impatient. I'm sorry, Thomas. I was getting impatient with Thomas when I couldn't get online with him. I couldn't get online. I couldn't this, you know, and in no uncertain terms, he was very good. He said, I think you need to calm down. He was great. And it's great if you could. So thank you, Thomas. But it's good if you can nip it in the bud, because otherwise what happens eventually, we get world war, right? One thing after another thing after another thing, and we're at war. We don't want that. We've done that too many times. And thank you, Drew. You were keeping me calm, and it did help. Thank you. I needed it. So we are going through a period, it's going to happen anyway, of transcending the ego. And these lockdowns and these masks and the social distancing and the vaccines and all of this is a fertile ground for the ego to really have its last battles. Yeah, it's going to come up and it's going to say, oh, yeah, I mean, it's uncomfortable wearing a mask. It is. Who wants to wear a mask? Nobody. I feel for my dentists, for the dentists, they've got to be head to toe, sweating cobs and treating people's mouths of all things. So, thank you, Shelty. Everybody knows what we go through. We all go through these computer issues. But can we, I speak for myself, it's Mars retrograde, it's looking inside at yourself, it's pointing the finger at yourself. Mars in Aries has to do with how do you deal with anger? How do you deal with your needs? How do you deal with wanting your own way? How do you deal with your will and wanting it your way or the highway? How are you dealing with your reactive emotional self? And can you keep diffusing it? Can you keep just diffusing it and becoming aware and seeing it in action? I find it very calming now because I drive a little bit at the moment between Marathona and Athens, sometimes for better internet connection and doctor's appointments the odd time. But They're mad drivers, the Greeks, really mad, very impatient, and it's infectious. I find myself getting impatient with them. So impatience is an infectious disease. It's like a virus. And you know how interesting it is when a fight breaks out, yeah? People are all watching in the street. Ooh, yeah, it's like things can escalate. So we're finding ways to nip it in the bud and diffuse it, and to find funny things as well, comical things, just to see how crazy people get. Just because they've missed a light and the light's gone red. And it looks like somebody, if that person hadn't gone slow, I would have made that light. Yeah. I mean, it's mad. So these are going to be the challenges. We're going to see it on the global level. And this thing with rules and regulations, this is the Capricorn energy. And my will, Mars in Aries. But we have to now internalize things and look at it personally. And it doesn't mean to say you won't feel angry. I'm not saying that anger isn't a legitimate emotion. Sometimes it is. If somebody gets too close to you, you need to let them know, "Hoi, woof, yeah, you're too close, or you're gonna drive over my toe." Yeah, you need to let that person know. Sometimes it's necessary to shout at somebody if they are in danger. But these are rare occasions. I'm talking about the everyday things that crop up where suddenly you're ignited. So now I've got little prayers that I chant when I'm driving. I've got these great prayers, and it just, oh, it's so lovely. You know, they're all whizzing past me. You know, I let them whiz, off they go. And they might arrive 5 or 10 minutes quicker. But it's much more relaxed. So Mars in Aries is about taking your foot off the accelerator. Often it's said that astrologers say, you know, it's not the best time to start things. Yeah, because again, you know, starting something is this energy of pushing forwards. And you might feel as though you've got decisions that you need to make or want to make, and you're blocked, or you make the decision, then you go back on it. This is very much this retrograde type of energy. So be gentle with yourself. Mercury is going to go retrograde in October as well. So this is very much this year of looking inside yourself and catching your reactivity. And let's see if we can begin to diffuse the disease of anger and blame and infecting one another with it. Because this is about infection. We're looking at infection. We don't know how COVID spreads. Yeah, we've got some ideas. But there's something much deeper, much more spiritual, with a deeper meaning here to this virus. And that's looking at everything that is infectious between us. Infectious that is harmful between us, and infectious that is positive between us. Infectious when I smile at you and I say, I love you. And I mean it with all my heart. And then you take it out to all the people around you. And then that just spreads. It spreads. It spreads. Like an infectious, we don't want to call it disease. What shall we call it? An infectious movement of positivity. Oh, thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Drew. You've been at it for hours with me today. Thank you, Thomas. You saved the day today. I wouldn't have been live now. So think about your preferences. Think about the things that you prefer. Think about how you could give way a little. We've got to begin to give way a little to one another. Doesn't mean being a victim and being pathetic. But maybe it just means finding ways to meet one another, to get along with one another, to cooperate with one another. You've got the Libra energy. The Libra energy. So what will you concede? What will you compromise? So that we can make our world a less angry place, a less volatile place, a place where we don't want to make arms, where we don't want military, where we don't feel we've got to protect one another from one another, because we're all one, we're all part of the same family, we're all on the same planet together, we're sharing one planet. So I won't play the tune again because I do believe, although I'd love to play it again because it's fun, but I think it's not so good with the microphone. So you can think about sticking those poison vaccines, as they are called, but maybe they are wonderful vaccines. Maybe some people will benefit from them. So we've got to be very careful about judging, blaming, calling one another names. What about this? What about we have a week now, or no, maybe just 2 or 3 days. Thank you, Kristin. Thank you. Of not calling anybody a name. Nobody a bad name. Nobody. Not a politician, even though you want to. I have to laugh because my 98-year-old Auntie Jenny in Manchester, she loves Boris Johnson. And she's so upset with people who are calling him this and that and the other. She said, I wish they wouldn't do that. She said, he was at death's door in the hospital and he's been ever so good. You know, I mean, it's just like, that's her perception. But can we, for a day, one day, here's the challenge, not say or think a bad word about anybody, even if it might be justified. So I want to thank once again Drew and Lucy. Thank you, Lee, very much. Thank you for those who are very generously contributing to this channel while I was offline even. Thank you for your patience today. Mars retrograde. Wow, we started this video. I think this is the 4th time online in this live. So thank you for being patient. Thank you for being part of this online family. Thank you for being part of this awakening. Thank you for helping me to awaken with you. I am far from perfect. I need you to hold my hand through this just as much as I hope I'm holding your hand. So from my heart to yours, much, much love. Bye for now.